My goodness.
High in the snowy French Alps, the 1992 Winter Olympic track from the Albertville Games is at La Plagne, over 1,500 meters above sea level and high up in the snow. Today, it's the sixth race of the Man Bobsleigh World Cup, combined with the European Championships. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to La Plagne, where it has been snowing consistently all week. You can see the fans are lining the track, the teams are getting ready to go. We've got 23 athletes from 14 nations ready to take on this precipitous drop. John Morgan, what a track this is.
Well, it's a long track compared to standards, especially the start. The start's the flattest, longest gallop that the athletes have in the whole circuit. Martin Annan, that's way back in 2002 with the start record here. I don't see we're going to see any start records. There's a roof on the track. You can see this all the way down. This was added in the last few years. And if we didn't have a roof, we probably wouldn't be having a race today because of the snow conditions up here. It's slow, and you got to gather all your momentum. And then all of a sudden, here comes this big shape left. Curve 4, throw you out of into the labyrinths, slingshot effect like we talk about certain parts of the track. And now a couple big G-force corners, 65 miles an hour. And down here, he starts to get into the 70s. And this is where the track's pretty fast. Long curves, especially this Omega curve. This is the signature part of the track right here. Big pressure, 4.5 Gs. And you exit almost flat here. You can't make any mistakes. The straightaway right here, I call this the graveyard of time. You can throw away your time, bury your time right there in the finish, right before the finish. It's a pretty easy track to get down. We've seen no crashes, but boy, is it tough to get down fast.
1998, Christoph Langen, Marco Jacobs, Thomas Platzer and Sven Ruhr set the track record. Christoph Langen and Sven Ruhr here coaching the Germans. I was talking to René Spies this morning as we look at Max Arndt getting ready to race. Spies says Christoph Langen has 2 pairs of start shoes with him at all times, just in case. He's crazy. There is your double Olympic champion, Kaylee Humphries, and our World Cup points leader, Oskars Melbardis. And John, you can see the snow conditions here. It's been relentless all week long, but as you said, with the covering, we at least have a track that we can race on.
As you know, it's more dangerous, I think, coming down the road to get to the track than it is in the track itself. But it's a great track. It's a speed, long curves, good challenge. Saw some skeleton events get canceled on us, but the bobsledders, they know the conditions of the track and the ice are rough. But boy, it's been the competitions, it's been the same people who've been leading the whole World Cup season have competed so far in the last couple days.
And our World Cup points leader is Oskars Melbardis. He took the silver medal in the Europeans yesterday. Alexander Kasyanov is the second man away as well. So Melbardis, not only the points leader, but gets best ice in the first run. Or does he? Is it going to be a little damp and frosty after the overnight snow? We'll have to wait and see. Whatever, he's already had 2 wins, a silver and 2 bronze medals this season. 23 sleds from 14 nations, going for 20 positions in the second and deciding heat. Time for both runs counts as ever, and the minimum time for both runs will be the race winner.
Well, we start right off with the big guns. Guys leading the World Cup circuit, the silver medalists from last year's Winter Olympic Games. The only team, I think, that's intact from the Winter Olympic Games last season.
No Latvian sleds in the medals in the European Championships last year. Reigning European champion Beard Hefty not driving. John Jackson, the silver medalist, back home recuperating. Francesco Friedrich took bronze last year. He comes up in the race today.
They have to run 4 or 5 more steps than St. Moritz. Favors these guys. These guys run like deer, I always like to say. Well, they didn't get down as quickly. 5:73, that ties the start record.
Wow,
start
that is
record,
a huge getaway.
Start record yesterday, they were within 6, 8, 10 hundredths of the start yesterday. So that's pretty interesting. First guy's out of the box. And he's got the best ice to work with. He's leading the World Cup circuit in the 2-man, 4-man, and of course, the combined. This guy is, if I say the real deal, would you believe me, Martin?
Yeah, it's hard to imagine a way in which he's not going to win all 3 Crystal Globes this year as the outstanding bobsledder of the season.
And the scariest statistic about him, he's young. He's still got probably 2 more Olympics in him, unless the Latvians keep bringing up these decathletes is what he is, and 2 other guys in the sled are.
The problem is they still have to beat him, and he's a real benchmark. 57.66, 3/10 away from the track record. But that is going to be a very tough mark to beat. So busy this track, John, really comes at you fast, and the speed picks up very early on.
Yeah, there's long sweeping curves, not that abrupt challenge that we saw in Koenigsee or Altenburg. Look how far they're running. I mean, they're 4 or 5 more steps here than they are in St. Moritz. The guys complain, it's almost, they're sore in their legs because it's a different technique. Here's the pivotal part of the track. Omega, look at the heads, the aerodynamic profile, that's going to be important, especially when you get over 80-mile-an-hour speeds.
Well, some of them love the long run, some of them hate it, but Malbardis looks pretty stoked with that. Russia's Alexander Kazyanov took the bronze medal in the last 4-man race here 2 seasons ago. His teammate Alexander Zubkov was silver behind winner Beat Hefty. Kazyanov now 31 years old, and he is the de facto Russian #1 driver.
He's going to have to get at least an 80 start to challenge at the bottom, and he could challenge at the bottom. This track is his style. Look at that 487. It's going to be tough to make all that up at the bottom. The Russians keep shuffling their teams around. This brakeman isn't in the field with him yet from yesterday. Yes, he is, but I noticed the other 2 Russian sleds have shuffled things up.
Well, keeping guys fit and bringing in new athletes. Lots of new faces in the Russian brakeman lineup.
That's what Luder's is doing, is trying to find the right combination. Pierre Luder's the coach for the Russians, the Canadian Olympic gold medalist in the '98 Olympics in Nagano.
Kazyanov, silver medalist in La Plagne. That's his best result of the season.
These are great speeds. This is a great run, but he was 1300s down at the start. And considering he's out driving Malbardis, but Malbardis got him in the first 50 meters. Yeah, this is a good run. Only 13, I see Luder said the same thing. That's pretty good.
Yep.
You know, being 1300, 1400s down at the start, he should have been 4500s at the bottom. He's only 32, so all things being equal, Kazyanov drove the better lines.
Had better speed after the start, but thereafter the Latvian sled was just a little quicker.
Well, look at the long strides. Choreography on ice, so the feet coming down at the same time. Looks a little bit like too much.
Guy on the left had a little slip, I think.
Yeah. And you got to run. I mean, St. Moritz, you're already thinking about getting in the sled before you get to the crest.
Yeah.
Here, you got 4 or 5 more steps.
And a little more time to load before you get into the first corner. Oskars Malbardis, the race leader. Rico Pater, bronze medalist in the 2-man yesterday. What a season this guy's having. 7th, 9th, 3rd, 7th and 11th are his 4-man results. So he's had some highs, but disappointing, only 11th in St. Moritz last week.
Well, 11th because they were forcing him to use a different sled, a Sidious 4-man sled. This is a Stampfer sled who's coaching the Swiss team, the Austrian, who's famous for being a speed merchant. And I think he's going to do much better because he's driving a sled he's more comfortable with. Probably the biggest surprise of the 2014-15 World Cup season, right here. In both disciplines. Yeah, 587. That's
same as the Russians.
Same as the Russians. Yep. And this is the Swiss home track in October and November. This is where they have all their trials. St. Moritz doesn't open till Christmas, so this is a part home track for the Swiss. And they always do well on this track. I mean, he did 3rd yesterday. His teammate, Hefty, faltered, fell from 2nd to 5th in the 2nd run.
Kilometre an hour down on the leaders.
Oh, he's way back.
Yep.
Way back.
Well, this is a sled he trained in all week last week, and as you say, they made him change just for race day. Just got to put your performance off a little.
Yeah, he's just didn't have it here today. I think the start killed him by that tap there in the graveyard. Doesn't sound like much, but that 6,500's now. It's 58. Look at Stampfer, he's disappointed. So the Rico Peter yesterday I don't think he could have dreamed of beating Beat Hefty and winning a European Championship medal ahead of Hefty. So maybe he's just in make-believe land, and that this wasn't what he wanted. Start. Let's see if they all get in, get down quickly before the first curve. Is there any wavering here? Yeah, they aren't settled in there. The push bars are still out. And that's this down here. This is where I think it gets away from him a little bit. He taps there. See, quick, long curves, long take-ons, long exits. You don't see that abrupt change of direction like you see in Koenigsegg-Altenburg.
Steaming like racehorses at the start, fully warmed up. Max Arndt and his crew. 27-year-old Arndt. Jan Speer behind him, number 2 man. He's a student teacher. And there's Kevin Corona, a long jumper. Martin puts a former discus thrower on the back of the sled.
Now, this is the guy that has to get within 700s, 800s to challenge at the bottom. Look how quickly they're in and down. There ain't no push bar discrepancy there. Boy,
starts not there, is it?
Wow.
2 tenths back.
Wow. I mean, that's... Speed's good, but my, I am so surprised about that. Wow, that shows you if you don't have the sprinters, there's some field athletes in here, you know, with the discus thrower, long jumper, but this track, you need some sprinters.
Well, they're good on explosive starts, so they'll really rock it in Eagles and Winterberg, but here's just a little long for them.
5,200's down now. He should stop the bleeding now, because this is where he accelerates. I mean, this is 58. I think he stopped the bleeding there, but the speed's not there either.
Only just a fraction quicker than Rico Peter, but he's still behind him.
Wow. I had my money on him today to challenge. Boy, was I off the mark. Look at Christoph Lange.
Yep.
Sven Ruhr. I think they're surprised, but
I get their start shoes back out.
Wow. I think those 2 guys could rock it down the track still. Wow, well, that's disappointing.
He's had 2 wins, 2 bronzes, and a crash this year in 4-man.
No conversation down there.
It didn't look like that bad a trip.
Start. This looks fine. Take on. Look at the heads. Oh, look at it comes down there. That's down in one of the big curves on the exit of Labyrinths.
Got on a little high maybe in the first pressure. Max Arndt in 4th place behind leader Oscar Melbardis. Next up, 4-man Olympic champion from 2010, Stephen Holcomb in the USA. 35-year-old from Park City, was 8th in the 2-man yesterday. Justin Olson from San Antonio, Carlo Valdez from Newport Beach, California, and Gresham, Oregon's Sam Mitchener. This is the crew of the night train 2.
Come on, good load, good load. Here we go, here we go.
Holcomb had the 24th best start in the first run yesterday, ended up bringing it in 7th. Second run, he fell 1 spot to 8th. Start, but a better start. 6:01. Wow. Yes, last year he beat the team with the 5:73 start at the Olympic Games. Now he's 2,800s behind. Wow. Taps there. And again, it's the team lead the competition is intact from the Olympics last year. It's a team sport. These 4 guys probably got 40 trips in their lives together. It's a team sport. It's not about individual athletes.
Well, he's a full kilometre now down on the leaders all the way down the track.
Boy, he's going to be
It's going to leave him nearly a second back.
Second back.
Yeah. Oh, and a skid there. Trying to be loose like Jamie Google-Poser was in the women's race. But 9 tenths back.
Brian Scheimer just looks on. And Scheimer, who was probably the first American driver to come with great start times, he knows. Holcomb last year, the best start in the Olympic Games with the team, who's now leading, and now he's 2,800s behind him at the start. That's just shocking. Here's the lines in Omega. Heads, aerodynamic profiles are perfect. Well done by the team. Then the graveyard here, boy, comes out a little early and boy, it's tough to get that big 4-man in a skid, but when you do, it's got a mind of its own. That's a lot of time in that graveyard section.
5 sleds down, Oscar Melbardis, our comfortable leader in this 4-man race in La Plagne. Russia's Nikita Zakharov, 6th of our 23 starters, first of our 2 heats in his 4-man race in La Plagne in France, the 92 Albertville Games Winter Olympic venue. 27-year-old Russian, best result this season, 4th place in Calgary. It's only his 4th World Cup race of the season as the Russians switch around their driving and their brakeman lineups.
15th place at the Olympics last year, but he didn't have the team or the sled or the equipment. He was the number 3 guy. Now he's the number 2 guy. And like Holcomb, way off the pace at the start. Oh, the Latvians they're on another planet to start. Speed, not bad.
Well, that's a kilometre an hour slower than the Latvians. And that again will chase him all the way down the track. 1.2k slower.
Well, his teammate, Kasyanov, is in 2nd.
Kasyanov started 1200s quicker, so don't be surprised to see him 3600s faster down at the bottom.
Well, this looks like on times equal to Holcomb, and he's up way behind Holcomb.
Yep.
Speed, so him and Holcomb are going to battle for 6th. Looks like
he's not in the battle with Holcomb.
Oh, but he's fallen way back.
Yep, he'll be lucky to be in the top 10 on that run.
Watch Pierre Luder's expression here. He's going to shake his head. This isn't what he expected. Look, on the left. Perplexed? I think so. Confusing this for having Melbardis come down and be so fast at the start, so fast at the bottom. I mean, the next guy up could be somebody could challenge him, but look at these Russian lines now. This is curve 4. Want to exit down the middle to get into the labyrinths. Look at this number 2 guy's heads rolling back and forth, so that wasn't a smooth exit. That pressure makes those heads go back and forth like that.
Well, so far, everybody is in their start order. 1 to 6 are in positions 1 to 6. Will Francesco Friedrich of Germany change that? 24-year-old 2-man world champion, 24-year-old 2-man European champion as of yesterday.
This start's got to be sub 580, I would think.
Oh, long load.
Problems.
Martin Grotkop, the 2-man man, couldn't get in.
Watch the
Still
speed.
not in.
He's just got in now. Watch the speed now. Watch how much speed they're going to lose here. Well, speed's not bad. That was, they got below 580, but I gotta believe he's holding on 2nd. He was fast yesterday, won the race yesterday. First race he's won. He was, we've been talking the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's been in a slump.
Yep.
But maybe he's just decided I want to peak in February. Well, this February 1st, yesterday, European champion in the 2-man, now he's top 3.
Yeah, speed's not that strong though.
He's fallen more back.
Latvians 1.5 kilometers an hour quicker at the bottom.
Skid there. As you entered the 17-18 combination.
7/10 back nearly. Wow.
Not the same Yavol from Christoph Lungen like we saw yesterday. Look at this. Ooh, boy, they got
straight out. Yeah. Shades of Simone Bertazzo when his brakes broke.
Shooting up there, but not a very good entry into the sled at the start, and not a very good finish here at the end.
Could have gone worse, but it's hard to imagine how much worse.
They're shaking their heads. I didn't get in.
Yeah.
They know they had started. See if they, again, they're running 4 or 5 steps farther than last week. This was the 2nd best start time of the competition. Yeah. Let's watch him get in, cat-like.
Candy Bauer gets in at 2, but Martin Grotkop at 3 gets his foot hooked up, can't get it around his teammate in front.
Brakeman
still trying to sit down.
Look at the speeds, look at that. With the 2nd best start, look at that. He's a kilometer almost down to Melbardis.
Well, that's all the bodies up in the air.
Look at the number 2. Look at this number 2 guy still up.
Yeah.
So the Germans will rethink that one. I still think he's got a chance in 2nd run to move up.
Just to remind you how hard this really is. Accelerating hard downhill on sheet ice. Oskars Melbardis, Latvia, the 21-year-old. 10th, crashed in Calgary. 4th, 5th, and 7th. Pretty decent season he's having in this 4-man.
21 years old.
Yeah.
3 decathletes on the sled, track and field guys. And let me tell you this. Yesterday, they had the best start in the 2-man competition. When this guy figures things out, the Latvians are going to have 2 superstars in both the 2 and the 4. This guy, with his athleticism in the front seat, wow.
He's got a bit more of a handle on driving the 4-man than he does still on the 2-man.
Look how quickly they're in.
Yep, nice load.
581, not as good as Mel Bardis, but right there, see, this should be 72.3, 72.4 speed.
Only 800s behind at the start.
72.9.
And a very
That's the best speed.
73.1 Mel Bardis.
73.3
73.3 Kazyanov. So the Russians have the fastest exit speeds.
Wow. He's in 4th now. He'll probably fall back. Might challenge for 5th, 6th at these rates.
5th at the moment, ahead of Francesco Friedrich. So splitting the Germans.
Got a little hit before the takeout. Looks like up there 9.
Speed not that great.
Ooh, flops there. Yeah, this is 6th, 7th, unless he keeps it. It's hard getting these things in a skid. Holcomb's probably had the worst line in the straightaway, the graveyard. 7th. Well, Sanders Prusas on the right. It's Brakeman, Giannis next to him. They were great Latvian competitors.
Maybe just needs a little more looseness in his driving.
Yeah,
I think he's trying to control it a bit too much.
That'll come, man. This guy's been driving his 3rd year. He didn't do any brakeman stuff. They threw him right in the front seat. Look at there, they taps. Watch the spray come up. See that little spray come up? You can look at airborne a little bit. So he got in there a little early. And then look at the runner tips here as he's trying to get on the takeout. Look at the aerodynamic profile. Look at his head leaning. He's leaning his body. He's urging the sled to get over on that take on. Now watch this. See the split there? It's the articulation, the suspension.
Germany's Nico Walter, 24-year-old former luge athlete from Freital by the Altenburg track. Best result of the season, victory in Altenburg in the 4-man. A World Cup rookie season. What a star he's turned into.
I've got a bunch of track and field athletes in here, but hammer throwers and discus throwers. Ooh, let's see if they get down. No, they aren't down either. 586 isn't bad. Boy, was he disappointed when I saw him in the parking lot yesterday. Just shaking his head. I said, hey, Nico, it's your 1st year. You've had great success. Not acceptable. Not acceptable. He was just beating himself up walking around the parking lot. You know, and it's...
Well, he was only 7th, and that was his 2nd worst result of the season.
Been on the track probably a couple hundred trips in luge. Probably not too many times in bobsled. Top 4 now. Track, remember, he's coming late. Speed, not there. Aerodynamic profiles for the 2 guys. Watch him in the straightaway here. 6'7" and 6'6". Guys riding 2 and 3. You can see him bouncing around in there, though.
Going to be a 6th-place run at the line. So the Germans ranked up 4th, 5th, and 6th, just outside the medals.
None of the Germans expected to be back in this position.
Well, it's a little bit like the women's race, where North American sleds had the top 3 positions ahead of 3 Germans after the first heat. And then the North American sleds went 1, 2, 3, 4.
Watch from the back here. A lot of head movement in there. He's a little late. Again, you got 6'7" and 6'6" in the middle of the sled.
Little skid into the Omega curve.
Yeah, you can see the snow coming on. They aren't seeing any snow. Our camera's seeing snow. They're inside a cocoon. You know, the track, bumpy.
Racing down a tunnel.
Yeah.
Hubenbecker, beg your pardon, Walter in 6th. Next up, Justin Cripps, Hawaiian-born Canadian. 28-year-old, best result of the season in Lake Placid, the season opener, 4th position. Since then, next best result, 7th in Altenburg.
Didn't do bad yesterday. Not what you expected. The Canadians were good last year in 4-man. You know, and if you remember last year, he was like 6th in the 2nd run at the Olympic Games in 4-man and crashed. And came out the next day with a couple guys, you know, ended up still finishing the 4 heats. Basically a red badge of courage, just completing the 4 heats. But Only one podium for him this year, and that's very surprising. I really thought he's a rising star.
Well, last week it really was disastrous. He got bumped out of the second heat by Serbia. 21st position in St. Moritz.
Well, you know, it's the worst finish I've seen USA or Canada combined have in St. Moritz in a couple of decades. And, you know, you don't want to peak. Now's the time when you want to build your program. But you want to have some respectability. It's the first of 4 years of the Olympic cycle, but 10th out of 10. Boy, and way off the pace. Boy, last year they were within 3/10 all the time at the top, at the bottom of the track. Now to be a second down, this look how quiet everything is.
93 then.
Well, we saw in the two-man race and in the women's race how quickly the track deteriorates under the weight of the sleds. Seems to be even more here in the four-man.
Well, we can see some shoulders back there. That's what you talk. You see some people bouncing around, really bumpy back there. But still, you still want to get in. If you see shoulders, that's air. Look how high the brakeman gets. Somebody's really, really high in there in the back. A lot of air gets sucked in there.
10 sleds down here out of our 23 in the first heat in La Plagne, France. Oscars Melbardis, a comfortable leader. Looks like nobody has got the pace to match him here in this first of two heats. Well, Melbardis first on the ice. Often, John, you find on these artificial tracks that first two or three sleds don't absolutely get the best ice, but certainly Melbardis made the best of what he had. Next up, Nick Cunningham from Monterey, California. 29-year-old soldier. Owenton, Kentucky's Adam Clark. James Reed from Garmisch-Partenkirchen in Germany. And Adrian Adams from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Adams, the brakeman, his father was a bobsledder as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Push bar.
Yeah, still out.
Still not. Uh-oh.
Well, because the brakemen have got their heads down, they don't know it's out.
This
and
is
because
hit.
there's no mirrors, Cunningham doesn't know it's out either.
It's going to hit something.
It'll hit something and get bent back.
Well, especially like that. That is really, it's dangerous. And when it hits, it's going to bend. So they're going to have some problems on the second run. And with those mistakes he made, this is the night train one. And with those mistakes he just made at the start, at the curves 2 to 3, unacceptable. It's tough. Two-man, he can do that. Four-man, it's pretty tough to get the four-mans to bang that hard at the top of the track when the speeds are slow. This push bar still hasn't hit. There it is. Hit there.
Oh, brakeman's got his head up. We saw that in the two-man race, getting disorientated.
So, another rough. Boy, almost 2 seconds back. That's just so unacceptable.
Well, again, a little like Francesco Friedrich.
Look at the push bar.
It could have gone worse, but not sure how. Yeah,
that's bent now.
Didn't snap back in initially, and now it's bent around on its mounting.
Well, mechanical failure, driver failure, start time, 7th best start. That's competitive. Way better than Holcomb. He's, you know, Holcomb was 8th. 800's worse. Watch the push bar hit here. And surprised, you know, some of the times it just snaps right off. With that start time, well, it wasn't too bad. He dragged a little bit, but still.
Yep. You're going to have to work on that before heat 2, because they'll need it to be out and in. Well, with the sole exception of Francesco Friedrich, everybody at the moment in start order, which means that Chris Springer, Canada, probably will end up 12th at 12 sleds.
Well, he's not going to make the mistake Cunningham made with that push bar, start time. But boy, I noticing these times, the track is really just, the speeds have just fallen away.
Yep.
It's just like survival to get to the second run, and then the second run would be pretty much the same. It'll be a lot closer. You won't see Melbardis win in the second run by 3200s, and he might win by 1000s. But that first time out of the block was a big advantage for him today, and to his defense, he went first in Königstein, the two-man event. It was the only time where he finished out of the medals. It's because of how much snow there was in the track. So that draw, you got to be lucky.
Yep.
And when you're lucky, you have to be good with it.
Well, 11th place for Chris Spring in front of Nick Cunningham. Oh, 2 heads up in the back of the sled.
They thought the brakes were coming on.
Yep.
So you got
they are now.
Wow.
Those heads and arms flapping all over the place there. And they don't even need to see the video. They know. Whoa, way too early. We're still going at speed.
Listen. These are the type of mistakes you're going to see the first year after the games when teams are rebuilding. Look, what's this? This is not sightseeing tour. Get your head back down there. Look at the arms coming up. They thought they were in the finish.
Yep.
Wow. Oh, boy, the coaches will be on them about that. Oh, my, look at, that's the number 3 guy.
That's Josh Kirkpatrick, but then he'll know. He knew there was a corner after he'd sat up, so he knows for the next time. And all he can do is hold your hands up and go, sorry, guys. Everybody makes mistakes.
First year after the Olympics.
Well, now, what about this 20-year-old Austrian sensation, Benny Meyer, brother Raphael, 22, and Sammy, 15, are both skeleton sliders, as was Benny.
They changed brakemen.
Yeah, change on the back. Christian Smetana, who was on the 2-man sled, being replaced by Angel Sommer on the back handles.
Well, this is 2 top 10 finishes the last 2 weeks.
2 8th places, 22nd yesterday in the 2-man.
Yeah, but his father told me they're bringing out a new 2-man next week. 2-man is not like this 4-man. And I asked him, are these Stomper runners? He said, oh, watch out there. He was late on 4.
Is that what he said?
He said, no, these are not Stomper runners. These are brand new runners that we tested earlier in the year. They're fast.
All right, nice.
But his son, 10th start, 10th moment. Knowing what we've seen the last couple of weeks out of him, speed's not bad.
That is the best speed we've seen since Nico Volta, 4 sleds back.
Yeah, he's
First
hanging in there.
into the 130s.
Top 9. He's coming back. This is what he did in St. Moritz and Koenigsee. On the bottoms, part of the track, he flies.
Place ahead of the second Latvian. 9th it is.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. This is 20-year-old guy. He's young. Going to his home track in Austria next week.
Yeah.
If they ever get a start time, watch out. The last time the Austrians were dominant in the sport of bobsledding, 1992, here in Albertville, France, when Ingo Appelt won the Olympic 4-man gold medal. It's the only time the Austrians ever won the Olympic gold medal. And this young kid is gives some hope to the Austrian program. But out of curve 4, this is something he'll go back and look at. Airborne, that's the worst line we've seen in the exit of 4. When you need to slingshot your sled down there, and he was sideways into that 3-corner labyrinth combination.
That was close to a crash. Next up is the 3rd of our US sleds, Cody Bascu, 20-year-old from Whitehall, New York. Best result of his season as a rookie, 9th place in Lake Placid. Aaron Victorian at 2. He was a decathlete for American Samoa because he's half Polynesian. Alex Harrison, javelin thrower, rock thrower, everything he likes to throw. And David Kremin from Annandale, Virginia, originally born in Vicenza in Italy. So real mixed crew.
Yeah, Victorian was the California state champion in decathlon. And Alex Harrison is a decathlete from Western Washington. So I bet you there's 20 decathletes in the field today, 23 sleds. That's 92 athletes. There's at least 20 to 25 decathletes in the field.
Yeah.
10th best start, 96. So Holcomb's got the 3rd best start of the 3 Americans. This is an older Bodine that got burned up. And then they took it to Bobby Rahaal's shop. He got burned up in a trailer accident and refitted out of Bobby Rahaal's shop in the Midway in Ohio. Cody Bascu, young 21-year-old from Whitehall, just learning the ropes. What a great season he's had, a very surprising season. Ooh, boy, was he early coming off of the Omega curve, and that cost him. This looks like a 12th. At least his team didn't try and put the brakes on. They ducked their heads at the finish. 13th out of 14.
Trying to get everything done right.
Beat his teammate.
Aaron Victorian waving there on the way into the finish area. Well, given the company is in, you know, Olympic four-man champion, Stephen Holcomb, multiple world champion.
Here's the exit
great run.
of Omeka. He makes some mistakes here. See, he got out too early. And bang twice. Now he's going to the middle of the next curve, 18-17 or 18-19 down at the bottom. Well, a little mistake there, but Cody, he just keeps getting the experience.
Next up is our 15 sled down. This is Czech Republic's Jan Verba. Only the third World Cup race of the season for him. Sports instructor from Prague. Jan Stoklaska, the man at 3. Brakeman originally for Ivo Danilevic. That's him in the jacket, Ivo, and the hat, who was the Czech #1 driver and is now coaching the team.
European champion himself in Cortina in 2003, 2005.
Change on the back handles as well. Jakub Havlin replaced by Jakub Nosk.
That was the biggest day for Czech bobsledding when Ivo Dalanovic beat the Germans in Cortina. Now, but Steve Holcomb won the race, so that was 2006. Steve Holcomb, the United States, won the race. Dalanovic was second, so but Holcomb got thrown out of the European mix. Holcomb won the World Cup, and that was the day we say that small fish ate the big fish. He beat Andre Lange. And Weber, we've seen him now for 4 weeks. We expect him to start showing some results. Good driving, decent equipment.
14th at the start, pulled himself up to 12th place
Speed's
now.
good, speed's good.
Speed is good. That's as good as Benny Meyer, the Austrian, a couple of sleds back.
He's 12th now, he's coming.
Yeah, maybe even 11th at the line.
Boy, good speed here at the bottom, good lines. Look at that,
11th place.
Not bad. Evo on the right.
Pleased with that.
Evo likes that.
10th place is Nikita Zaharov of Russia. 12th place, Justin Cripps. 13th, Chris Spring.
Considering he changed his brakeman, you know, it was one of those corrected start lists we saw this morning. So his brakeman, Havlik, who's the real stud, was with him yesterday in the 2-man. Watch these lines. The heads back there. Look at them lean. Look, see that little body lean to get the sled. They feel comfortable that way as they get on the take-on.
Drive it like a motorcycle racer, except not backing it in sideways. Oskar Melbardis, Alexander Kazyanov, and Rico Pater are the top 3 after the first 15 sleds here in La Plagne. La Plagne, France, first of 2 heats of the 4-man bobsleigh competition, round 6 of the Viessmann World Cup. Martin Haven, John Morgan watching the action. Maxim Adrianov of Russia, the 26-year-old third-string Russian at the top of the track. 18th yesterday in the 2-man race. 2 4-man races this season. He was 8th in Altenburg, 15th in Koenigsee a fortnight ago.
I think this is the 5th different Russian driver, maybe the 6th Russian driver we've seen on tour this year. They shuffle them in. Look how quickly those guys are in. 16th best start. So, you know, we talk about their proficiencies. Look at the way they're taught to be. Their eyes are barely above the cowling, much like Pierre Luder's their coach. Aerodynamic profiles, I've noticed, very, very good. And considering they're shuffling these guys up like a deck of cards from week to week and race to race, well coached.
Well, one of the deals with the aerodynamics in the sled is you need to test it with men in the wind tunnel, because the different profile on the nose will send the air across the body a different way. I know when the British tested their sled with McLaren, they found that actually having shoulders up against the cowl helped with the airflow.
You're supposed to say that in there.
Yeah, I know. It's true. So they position themselves deliberately in the air to stop the turbulence, or to reduce the turbulence. 15th place for the Russian, 59.37.
Well, you know, when you come down with the 16th best start time and you finish 15th, that's pretty much, you know, the only person that can really change the start time. Holcomb, he's in 6th, he's the 7th, he's the 15th best time at the start, and he's 7th. Everybody else pretty much like their start times.
Max Arndt 9th off a 4th off a 9th fastest start.
Well,
so, but yeah, you're right. This
skid
track
here
really reflects your start.
Looks like a little back end here, skid as he goes into the, this is the top of the track. Speeds are slow. Start time deficiency, though, that's the bottom time result.
Next up, lots of French attention for Loic Kostegg from Moutier just down the road, Roman Heinrich from Colmar, another alpine town, Vincent Ricard from Nantes, and from Grenoble, the 68 Winter Olympic venue, brakeman Jérémy Bouterin.
And Bouterin, he has to be the smallest athlete in the competition. But his coach, Max Robert, used to slide with Bruno Manjean, used to be 5'4", and was a speedy little brakeman, and all they did was win the Olympic bronze medal in '98 Olympics in Nagano and the World Championship in '99. Bruno Manjean, team had good starts. And Manjean now coaching the French now, and the Monegasque team. Looks like that push bar still out on the left. See, it's like it's not in an aerodynamic profile.
Sometimes they don't quite drop down into the channel. They need to sit in and then they'll flap around.
Well, he's gone from the 14th best start to 12th, and now he's back to 14th. Again, it sounds so loud because they got a roof over the top, and it just magnifies the whole echo. Ooh, late there.
Sled by Bruno Mijon. Chances are it's something like a Dresden chassis underneath the bodywork, which will be a Mijon cowl.
15th. There's Bruno Manjean on the right, Max Robert on the left, world champions in '99 and Olympic
the
bronze
driver should be the little guy and the brakeman should be the big guy.
Well,
Right?
Max Robert was the little guy and Manjean, but boy, they had great starts. Manjean always had top 4 or 5 starts.
See, Robert looks like he should be a rugby scrum half, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does have that look.
Little, fast and powerful.
Well, here, rough there. Look at, he hits before the take-on, and that push bar never looked locked in there. Catches my eye, and that's down on the exit of the labyrinth, third labyrinth.
Well, 15th place. Their only other World Cup race this season, they were DQ'd. Next up comes Kaylee Humphries. This is her 4th four-man appearance with DJ McClelland from Calgary, like the double Olympic champion, Mississauga, Ontario's Joey Nemeth, and Maple Ridge, British Columbia's Dan Dale on the back of the sled.
Yeah, she's a good enough driver. She'll have a deficient start time, but she should make the top 20 for the second run pretty easy.
Well, this crew have had 3 races together so far. 15th, 18th and 19th are their results. So they've made the cut on each occasion.
4,200s back at the start.
Efren Violato has been on the back of this sled as well. He was in the 2-man race yesterday with Nick Poloniato, so not racing today.
Loud. So it's all about the good start, now good driving, and see if she can get 129 and change speed down here, give her a chance top to move up. She's 18th at the start, still maintaining an 18th position, little tap there. This is where her driving instinct should take over here. Yeah, 29.5, that's decent speed. It's expected.
Quicker than the French sled at the bottom.
Ooh, skid there.
Is she going to overhaul Nick Cunningham of the USA for 17th spot?
She might.
Might be close at the line. 100th behind Nick Cunningham.
Cunningham started 2,200s better, but of course Cunningham had the push bar out all the way around down the track.
Yep.
But I think that's going to lock her in. I don't think anybody else
Well,
going to bump her.
3 sleds will miss the cut, and I'm not sure that any of the remaining 5 are going to be that much quicker.
Yeah. Well, 18th best start and 18th best finish. Look at the lines here. She might have got out of here a little too early. Let's watch the exit of Omega. Back end looks like a little skid as she's trying to get over on the next curve.
Well, target now for Kaylee Humphries is to stay in the second heat, and the target for Korea is to get into the second heat as well. 28-year-old Yoon Jung-won, 6th in the 2-man race yesterday. Well, I was talking to Coach Malcolm Lloyd this morning. He's saying they just don't have that kind of a start in the 4-man yet. So for them, making the top 20, getting the second run, getting that experience is vital. They were here earlier on this season in December. They raced in the Europa Cup race. So he's got some half-dozen extra trips down this track, but still, like everywhere else, learning fast. It's first time in Europe at all for the Korean program.
Done well. They brought out a
have.
6'9" breakman yesterday, 6'8" for the one of the two-man sleds. Notice he starts up front, not from the back blocks. Locks his feet in, which is really what the old school is. The new school, you see a lot of guys come off the back block and come forward, hit that push bar with the same inertia when the brakeman and side pushers hit theirs. Well, he's got the worst, no, he's got the 18th best start. .89.7.
He's made the cut in all three of his four-man races this season, 13th, 20th and 16th in La Plagne, Altenburg and Koenigsee, or Koenigsee and St. Moritz rather.
Smooth.
Battling with Kaylee Humphries for position at the moment, 1:29.3 at the bottom, little slower than the Canadian sled.
He's really had problems down here in that Omega curve. He's always coming down too low. We saw that yesterday in the two-man.
Yep. Hit the wall both runs yesterday, confirmed that with Goma.
Oh, I didn't like the 2 and 3 heads there. So Kaylee Humphries, that locks, I just about locks her in. She's.
Yep, Koreans in 19th, Kaylee Humphries in 18th, Nick Cunningham in 17th. In theory, the last three sleds in the race at the moment might be in trouble.
Well,
in practice, we'll have to wait and see.
You know, the whole, watch him come down here. Watch the head snap here. Watch them go back and forth. He did that all day yesterday in that two-man competition. Not as bad here in the four-man, but look at the heads here. There's a lot of aerodynamic negative there. Look at that. Heads are up. Look at that.
Getting bounced around. I'm not sure the guy at 3 was in, probably Youngwoo Seo, who was on the two-man yesterday.
Didn't look comfortable in there at all.
No, it looked like he might have been sitting on somebody's legs. Next up, Doran Grigore of Romania, 29-year-old, is personal trainer from Bucharest. Florin Craciu behind him. He's been part of the Romanian program for several years. New guy Gabriel Salian and veteran Danut Moldovan.
Well, he didn't make the cut yesterday in the two-man, just probably driving the oldest sled in the competition, but their start times weren't very good.
Well, he's made the cut in Altenburg and in Koenigsee. Only 25th, though, in St. Moritz, so they didn't get a second heat there either.
Well, we're seeing a lot of shoulders back here. Next to the 4, not bad. The Labyrinth, three-corner combination. And a couple big sweeping curves here. And the speeds get into the 65, 70 mile an hour, and they continue to accelerate to 80 plus. Yeah,
128, that's really low speed, I'm afraid. They will be 20th at the line, but that might not be enough to get them into the second heat.
Whoa, watch out there. Tough to get came off too early.
To add insult to injury.
2 seconds back. Coaches.
Well, that's
Julian
the target
right.
for the remaining 3 sleds to try and beat now is a 59.7 run.
They're going to have all they can do. Well, they have a chance, but this didn't help his chances. The only person worse than this graveyard part of the track was Holcomb. But look at the back end. Still, it's like a spiral effect.
There's from one way to the other. Tank slapper, they call it in motorcycle racing. So 20 sleds down, the race is full. We have 3 more to go. And Oskars Melbardis will take a very decent lead into the second heat, but he will be the last sled on the ice. So how will that play out? 3 sleds remain here in La Plagne in France. First of whom, 21-year-old development driver Ollie Biddulph from Taunton in Somerset. Ben Simons and Bruce Tasker at 2 and 3. They were in 14th place with Tasker driving in the two-man yesterday. And Slough's Andy Matthews on the back. Hates cold weather, apparently. Good choice of sport, Andy. Ollie Biddulph was here in December in the Europa Cup race, so he's got another half-dozen trips down the track. And they're looking for a big start here. And they get it, 7th fastest.
Well, Ollie didn't have these starts so far in any of the race we've seen, and now it's up to him to deliver the goods. With that start, he should be at least in 15th place. great athletes sitting behind him. That was an impressive debut.
Really was. I was
talking
to Gary Anderson, the coach, this morning, and they were looking for a good start time. They were very, very happy with the results they had as well. Third fastest start.
Somebody just lifted their head up there.
Oops. 15th place at the moment. 1:29 is not bad speed at the bottom.
Needs to be perfect here in the
Little
graveyard.
skid.
Losing some time back.
16th. Just about holds the slide there. And up the line, 18th place, 16th place, holds on to it.
Bumps the Romanians out.
And that means they are guaranteed a second run. The Romanians are out.
7th best start.
Boy,
somebody made a mistake there, because if they don't put the brakes on and get out there, they go right back down on a long delay.
Andy Matthews a bit ambitious with the brakes there.
Look at the heads, a lot of bouncing around on these heads. Look at, you can see a lot of helmet movement. Look at them, you can see that sticker of the number 2 helmet coming up. Shoulders. So I think, you know, again, it's a makeshift team. Throw them together, get them in, and, you know, the sled. Sometimes they aren't built for these 6'4", 6'5" athletes just to get in ad lib.
Well, in the last European Championships in the 4-man, John Jackson, Stu Benson, Bruce Tasker and Joel Fearon were the silver medalists. Jacko's watching back home.
Beautiful picture of him.
Joel Fearon, I hear, will be back in British bobsleigh next year after a season away. Well, next up for Poland, Maciej Luty, the 25-year-old. Started driving back in 2007. Very sporadic World Cup appearances, though. Up until this weekend, we hadn't seen these guys up until last weekend in a World Cup race since December 2012. Just missed the cut yesterday, 300ths away from 20th place.
He's better in the 2-man than the 4-man, so he's going to have all he can do to get in the top 20 here. And it's going to be about to start. Anything around 6:05. Oh, watch out there. Nobody's down. Yeah, 6:08. The speed. That little movement around curve 1 doesn't help your velocity that we'll see coming up right there. 71.1. Although 2 kilometers down to the Latvians, those guys are on a different planet. Didn't drive bad lines yesterday. Very surprised he didn't make the cut. Last week in San Moritz, they had some real issues at the start. That's what nullified their abilities to get into the second run late there. Speed, 128.6. That's not good speed. This looks like a 22nd spot.
Yep, he's going to be behind Dorin Grigori of Romania.
So, big skid there too.
Not going to make the second heat here by 0.3 of a second, nearly 0.2 certainly.
So that locks Kaylee Humphries in the field.
Yeah, Kaylee Humphries in 19th place is safe. She will get a second heat no matter what else happens. One more sled to go. One more wait for Yoon Jung-won of Korea.
Start. Watch him get in. Get in, get down quick, guys, before the first curve. Get settled. Don't go around that first curve with energy going in the wrong direction. And they have energy going left, right. Now watch there's a helmet comes up here. Pretty sure I saw a helmet come up.
Little slide as well down the straight.
There.
Yep.
Hey, not yet. Don't put the brakes on there.
Well, he's the guy at 3. He doesn't need to be looking. Only the brakeman needs to be worrying where they are. There's Maciej Luty. Won't get a second run today. Final sled on the ice is the Dutch 25-year-old Juriaan Wesselink, former soccer player. So is Rudy Mensink at the back of the sled. Dennis Penker, pole vaulter, and Igor Brink on the back handles, 100, 200-meter sprinter. Talking to Juriaan this morning, it's only his 3rd World Cup, and of course the whole Dutch crew basically retired at the end of the game, so in the summer or after the beginning of the season. And so there are no veterans left to teach these guys what to do.
No. And the best Dutch brakeman's sliding for the Swiss. I don't like the split here in the talent. Look at this. It looks like there's something wrong there. Looks like the sled's not straight. He's split the cowling. It's like, look at the way that every time you lift a curve, you see it. It's almost like they're missing the rubber stop in between the two.
It does a little, doesn't it? 127.8, that's the lowest speed we've seen at the bottom of the track.
It's okay, this is development.
Yep.
And these kids are enthusiastic about being a bobsledder and following in the footsteps of what the Dutch have done. You know, the Dutch have done well in bobsledding the last 10 years.
They got the women's crew on tour with them as well. It's a small unit, this Dutch team, and they are building from the ground up with the likes of Edwin van Kalker, Arnold van Kalker, Hubert Jansma, all retiring. Yeah. They've lost all that experience from the pool.
Yeah, and these are mistakes in the four-man that you just can't make down here in the graveyard. And you've seen a lot of heads and shoulders, and that's just all, you know, rookie team. They're brand new guys. A couple years from now, they aren't going to look like that.
Well, there's Jurian, big smile still from him. 23rd place. Pretty much what they were expecting. Pretty much what we're expecting from Oskars Melbardis, and then some. First man out of the shed this morning, tied the long-standing track record for the start that's 12 years old, and then just blitzed away from everybody else. He'll go into Heat 2 with a 32/100ths of a second lead.
Eternity of time in the sport of bobsledding on a track that, where we saw yesterday, hundreds of seconds separating a lot of the places.
Battle for third place, Rico Peter, Maxon, Francesco Friedrich, that's covered by a 10th, but they're 6/10ths back. I mean, there are some huge gaps. Most other tracks, from first to eighth or second, that would cover almost the top 20.
Yeah, some real disparity in times here. Relative to the track conditions really fell away. You don't see people 1+ seconds back like this on most tracks, especially this is longer, but the track conditions have really deteriorated for the first couple sleds that came down, which is going to make for a very interesting second run.
Did in the two-man yesterday, should do in the four-man today. Join John Morgan and me, Martin Haven, for the second heat, and that is coming to you at 11:30 Central European time. That's 10:30 Greenwich Mean Time. Wherever you are, please join us then for all the action.